One of the things that I've taught is that I've had previous incarnations that people are aware of. Most of them know of Buddha, most of them know of Jesus. Yeah, and because those are historically, there's information. Yeah, 2,500 years ago, and all of Buddhism and all the written literature that comes with that, it's easy for the Buddhists to recognize me as the teacher of those teachings. Yeah, so that's why I was enthroned. And then in Christianity, my lifestyle, my life, is identical, in every way. So there's very little understood or recognized about Jesus. There's no written information. There's really very little, very, very little, only up to when I was around 9 to 11, and then after when I got home when I was 30. So really not much information. So that's not a lot to, when Christ comes back, there's not a lot for you to go on to refer to, is he similar, or is, any of that. But I have another life, and that life is Krishna. And in that life, I actually wrote the books. I wrote the book with Maitreya, which is very interesting. It's called Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. And it's in the Vedas. And the Vedas go back 5 billion years. That's a long ways. Sumerians were taught by the Vedas. The Hittites were taught by the Vedas. The Hebrews were originally created through the Vedas. As due to England, they wiped out the recognition of the Vedas. They said it was all just myth. No real truth to it whatsoever, so don't bother. But now the anthropologists and others have studied and looked and come to find out, they're finding that through the book of Bhagavad Gita, through Krishna, they found out that Krishna was a greater scientist than any scientist or physicist that's been on this planet. He was able to give the exact mathematical equations of time and space relative to God. Which is amazing. And if you read it, you would actually be able to, if you understood physics or you understood astronomy and the relationship of time and evolution and all the things that are seemingly a kind of, we don't understand it. It's amazing, is there a real God, or any of that. But in that book, in the Bhagavad Gita alone, I talk about how I'm the creator and when I created. So I talk about how I was Vishnu, and at that time I was creating the cosmoses out of every breath. Galaxies. And every time I breathe in, they would come in. Every time I breathe out, they'd go out. And that took billions of years for each breath. So it's not like we think as humans, one day is 24 hours. One day is a 5 billion year period. That's long. But we're talking God. And relativity to time and space. And then when physicists looked at this, they found, wow, light and time and space kind of meet the equations of the Bhagavad Gita. So all the major physicists of the world and the highest minds of poets, all were students of the Bhagavad Gita. If you looked into it, you'd find out that Einstein was a student of the Bhagavad Gita. You'd find out that Tesla was a student of the Bhagavad Gita. You'd find out that many of the great poets and writers were students of the Bhagavad Gita. You'd find out many of the oldest presidents, including Lincoln, was a student of the Bhagavad Gita. That's hard to imagine. But the Bhagavad Gita was interpreted in many different languages. Prabhupada recently, in the 60s, interpreted them all from Hindi to English, so it could be recognized by anybody. And the Bhagavad Gita was written, interpreted into English back in the 20s. Yeah. So it was available in libraries. It was available for people to read. And out of that influence is what kind of prepares the way for my work. Because if you read the Bhagavad Gita, you would understand why I say the things I say in my teachings.